Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make 2 bracelets and 2 pairs of earrings today using some of the beads and findings that came in the most recent Curated bead box. The one for January 2024, it's called Over the Rainbow. There were some really pretty colorful beads in this box. I'll put a link in the corner of this video and in the description box below to the unboxing video I did for this subscription, in case you want to watch it, where I go over all the beads and everything that came in the box and how the subscription works and all. It's $20 a month, and that includes shipping in the United States. I think they only ship in the United States. I have a coupon code. It's Teresa35, and I'll put it on the screen here and in the description box below, along with a link to the page to sign up for the subscription if you're interested. The coupon will save you 35% off your first box if you sign up, so that would make your first box $13. For this first bracelet and pair of earrings, I'm going to use these 10mm purple blossom spray glass beads that were in the box, these 8mm blue/pink marble style glass beads that were in the box. I've got some bead caps from my stash. In here I've got a toggle clasp from my stash. I've got some of the jump rings that came in the box. I've got one of the little charms that came in the box, and 2 2x2 crimp tubes and 2 wire guardians from my stash. And here's what I'm going to use for the earrings. They're just going to be really simple earrings. I'm using the two of the 10mm beads, 2 of the 8mm beads, some bead caps, a piece of 22 gauge German style wire in gold, a ball head pin, and a couple of ear wires. I've got the bead stringing wire that came in the box, and I've got one of my bead stoppers. I've got some Miyuki galvanized gold seed beads that I'm going to use as spacers. I'm going to be using my chain nose pliers, my tweezer nose pliers, my round nose pliers, both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers, both pairs of my crimping pliers, both pairs of my cutters, and my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wires in when I cut them off. I think that's everything. So hold on and I'll get some of this out of the way and I'll be back. Okay, I've got my beads out here that I'm going to use for my first bracelet, and I've not cut a piece of wire off of the wire that came in the box. I'm just using it as though it were on a spool. And I've got a bead stopper on here. I like to do that if I know what my design is going to be, because I think it maybe helps me with not waste so many beads. So I'm going to start with a bead cap. And an 8mm bead. And a bead cap. And an 11/0. And a bead cap, and a 10mm bead, and a bead cap, and 11/0, a bead cap, $10mm bead, a bead cap, an 11/0, a bead cap, $10mm bead, bead cap, 11/0. So that's what I've got. I've got an 8mm and 3 10mm with bead caps around them and 11/0s between all of them. Now I'm going to do that 2 more times, and I'm going to end with an 8mm, and then when I get back I'll show it to you again, and then we'll crimp it. So I'll be back. Okay, this is what I've got now. I've got an 8mm. I've got bead caps and 11/0s between all the beads, and I've got an 8mm, 3 10mm, an 8mm, 3 10mm, an 8mm through 10mm and an 8mm. And now I'm going to crimp it. So I'm going to take one of my crimp tubes, put it on here, one of my wire guardians, I can get it on here. This is thicker wire than I'm used to using. There it goes. Now I'm going to go down the other channel of my wire guardian, go back through my crimp tube, pull my wire through and make sure to hold my wires apart so that my wires don't get crossed. Because when we crimp, we want to make sure each wire lands in its own individual channel, and it won't do that if they're crossed. I'm going to tuck my little wire guardian in very gently. Pull my wire through till I don't want any sticking out up here. I'm going to pull it up tight. Hold it apart. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and use that part that has the tooth. I'm going to lay the tooth on top, squeeze, and that puts each wire in its own little individual channel there. Now I'm going to go into the half circles on each side here. There's 3 of them. I'm going to go into this middle one. That's the one for the 2x2 crimp tubes. And I'm going to lay my crimp in there. Squeeze. A real good squeeze so that it's nice and tight and doesn't come out. Now I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to cut this off the rest of my wire that I've got here. Now I'm going to crimp this side. I'm going to put my crimp tube on. My wire guardian. Come down the other channel of my wire guardian. Back through my crimp tube. Hold my wires apart so they don't get crossed. I'll tuck in my little wire guardian. Very gently, because these are very delicate and I've destroyed many of them over the years. Now I'm going to pull my wire through, and I like to try to go through a bead on this side because to get my hands out of the way, and also to center my wire guardian over this last bead here. It's better to, it centers better if you put it through a bead. If I can get it through there. I know I can, I just need to get angled in the right direction here. Go through my bead and my bead caps and make sure I get through the right hole of these little filigree bead caps because they got a lot of holes in them. But I use them a lot because I think they're pretty. Okay, there we go now. I'm going to hold on to my wire guardian. I'm going to make sure my wires are not crossed. Pull my wire through. Make sure there's no wire coming out the top of this little wire guardian here. Try to make sure my wires are not crossed. And I want to make sure my I don't have any slack in my piece, but I don't want it to be too loose either. I mean, I don't want any slack in my piece, but I don't want it to be too tight, because if it's too tight, it'll be all stiff and it won't drape well. So I usually kind of curl it up like that to keep it from getting too tight. So now I'm going to go on that part with the tooth again. Lay the tooth on top, squeeze, turn it around and go on that part with the half circles again and squeeze. Oops. I think I squeezed too much that time. I think I might have uncrimped it, if that's even possible. If it's possible, I'll figure out a way to do it. Well, get it good and tight there so that it doesn't come out. Wanting to twist around on me is the problem. Let's see how this is. Okay, that's good. So now I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. So that's what I got now. So hold on, I'll get my findings and put it on here. So I'll be back. Okay, I've got my findings out here, and I'm just going to put this together. I'm going to take one of the jump rings that came in the box, and I really like their jump rings. They're really good jump rings. When we open a jump ring, we always twist it open, never pull it open like this. We always twist it open like that. And I'm going to put one side of my bracelet on. Put my toggle bar on. Close my jump ring back really well, and you usually need to, like, when you twist it back together, go past it a little bit and then come back, and that usually is the best way to close it up really well. Now I'm going to take another jump ring, open it up, put it on this side, put my toggle ring on, close it up really well. Now I'm going to take another jump ring, and put my charm on here. And put it onto this jump ring. Close it up really well. So that's what I've got. Put it together here. So there's my first little bracelet. So hold on, I'll make the earrings that go with this. I'll be back. Okay, these are going to be a really, really simple pair of earrings, and the other earrings are going to be pretty much just exactly the same. I've got a ball head pin here. Of course, you can use a regular head pin if you want. I'll put on a bead cap, one of my 10mm beads, a bead cap. I'll take my pliers, and I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers. I don't want a very long neck. I'm going to bend over at a 90-degree angle. Take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. And that usually stands your little wire almost straight up there. Take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring my wire down a little bit. I'm going to take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. I'm just going to keep wrapping until there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to take my cutters, and these are a different pair of cutters than I use for my bead stringing wire. Because if you use the same cutters, cutting these head pins and eye pins and craft wire will dull them so much that they won't cut your bead stringing wire. I'm going to take these crimping pliers, and I use the part at the end with a little half circle on each side. And I'm going to tuck in my burr that's left where I cut off my wire. I'm going to take my piece of 22 gauge German style wire. This is about a 3-inch piece of wire. I'm going to go down not hardly 1.5 inches. Bend at a 90-degree angle. Round those pliers in the crook of the bend. Round those pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the tool. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take the shorter piece of wire up and under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire. Now I'm going to open my loop. Thread on my little dangle that I've already made here. Close my loop back again. Take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring this piece down. Wrap it around the longer piece about 3 times. I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. I'm going to take another bead cap, my 8mm bead, and another bead cap. Take my pliers, go to the very tip of the pliers. Straighten this one up down here up a little. It's got not straight. Go to the very tip of the pliers. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Round those pliers in the crook of the bend. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the beads. My bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring the wire down a little bit. My other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. And wrap till there's no more room to wrap. Take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. Take my crimping pliers and tuck in my little burrs. And I know a lot of people tuck in their, when they make that first loop, they tuck in their burr, but I find it easier to do if I have that bead to brace against, because if I don't, I usually end up mangling the loop and the wire and everything else. Now I'm going to take my ear wire and open it up and thread on my little earring. So there's my little earring to go with my bracelet. So I'm going to make the other one off camera, and then I'm going to get my stuff together to make my second bracelet. So hold on, I'll be back. Okay, here's both of my earrings to match the little bracelet that I made. And now for my second bracelet, I've already got it strung up here because I didn't want y'all to have to wait while I strung up another bracelet. I'm using the 8mm rose pink glass pearl beads and the 6mm soft teal glass pearl beads that came in the box. And I've got one 6mm. I've got bead caps around all the beads except for the 6mm, and 11 O's between all the beads. And I'm starting with a 6mm, and then 3 8mm, 1 6mm, and then I have 7 8mm, 1 6mm, 3 8mm, and 1 6mm. So that's what I've got for my second bracelet. So I'm just going to crimp it off camera because I'm going to do it exactly like I did that first one. And then I'll come back and I'm going to go ahead and put the findings and the charm and everything on it because it's going to be just exactly like I did the first bracelet. And then I'll come back and show you how I'm going to do the earrings. So I'll be back. Okay, there's my second little bracelet all done. Now I'm going to make my pair of earrings to go with it. And these are going to be just like the other ones I did. I'm going to take a ball head pin, bead cap, one of my 8mm beads, bead cap, take my pliers, go to the very tip of the pliers, bend over at a 90-degree angle, around those pliers and put them in the crook of the bend, around those pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. Take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring my wire down a little bit. My other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. And just keep wrapping until there's no more room to wrap. Take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. My crimping pliers, tuck in my little burr. I'll take my piece of German style wire, go down not hardly 1.5 inches, bend over at a 90-degree angle, around those pliers in the crook of the bend. Bend the wire back until it hits the tool. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire. Open my loop. Thread on my little angle that I just made. Close my loop back. My bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring the wire down a little bit. Wrap the shorter piece of wire around the longer piece of wire about 3 times. My cutters and cut off my extra wire. Take my 6mm bead and put it on here. My pliers, and go to the very tip of the pliers. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Well, I was at the very tip that time because they came loose. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. Round those pliers in the crook of the bend. Bend the wire back until it hits the beads. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock the wire back until the loop is centered over the beads. I bent chain those pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring my wire down a little bit. Other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. Make sure to get that first wrap in under the bottom of the loop and not over the top of the bottom of the loop, which it looks like I'm trying to do here. Just keep wrapping until there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to cut off my extra wire. My crimping pliers and tuck in my little burrs. Take my pliers, open up my ear wire, and hang on my little earring. So that's that earring. So I'm going to make the other one off camera, and then I'll come back and we'll look at both bracelets and both pairs of earrings. So I'll be back. Okay, there's both bracelets and both pairs of earrings made with some of the beads and findings in the most recent Curated bead box, the one for January 2024 called Over the Rainbow. These are really quick and easy bracelets and earrings to make. There were some really pretty beads in the box this time, really pretty colors. Like I said, if you're not subscribed to the Curated bead box and you decide you want to be, that coupon code will save you 35% off your first box if you sign up. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry, and I also sell gift cards and some extra beads and findings that I have. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.